ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. We are going to be on episode number 28. And today we're going to be talking with Chill. I think one of the most outspoken guild masters I think around. I would definitely put him up there with Gluttony for sure, in terms of just a large guild presence, excellence with PVM, with completing, a ton of content on, a lot of different shards. So I think this is going to be, it's probably going to be controversial, I think, but I do, I kind of wanted like his voice to be heard because I wanted to know more really about Chill. What makes him the way he is? How does he, lead a guild? And then kind of, some of his experiences. And I'll be honest, not all of his experiences are great, and that's okay. Um, you know, the goal of this podcast to me is to give everyone a voice, right? And record UO history and stories. And as I'll say, the last episode, it was met with some mixed review, and that's okay. I kind of expected that, but not all the stories, experiences are going to be sunshine and rainbows, right? It's not all going to be, oh, I went and killed, a demon every day for 15 years, and it was great. Never had an issue. That's just not the reality, right? And I think too that whether it's free shards, OSI, I call it OSI still, but any of those, right? We're gonna have issues. There is a dark underbelly. There are exploits. There are hacks. There are things that go on that the average player, right, would not understand, and or just won't even know about, right? Um, you know, just for instance, like Outlands does have, a black market that exists. I mean, there's things. I think it's a bit naive, right, for people to think that these things would not exist on any platform, game, whatever. Because if you guys have listened since the beginning of the podcast, right, we know people will exploit, will do everything they can to exploit something or to get an edge. So that's kind of, something I wanted, to get out there as well. And I realize this is, it may not paint, Outlands. That's what it's about at the end in a really positive light. But just to give you guys a little bit of the other side, I still play Outlands today. I enjoy my time. Of course, there's pros and cons to everything, but the reality is, that's where I play at the moment. So take it with a grain of salt. I still think the conversations is really fascinating. It's one of the few, chances we get to talk to a leader which had, I mean, damn near 500 people at one time in it, and that cleared most of the Outlands content at the beginning. So please enjoy this. I sincerely appreciate your guys' emails, your support. I read every single one, and I do reply to them. And I've met some incredible people just through doing this podcast that I would have no idea, right, about or any of their experiences. So please keep sending to me. If you have any leads on anyone to talk to, please let me know. After I post this one, I am recording another one back to back. I have another, this guy is a guest from the old school. When I say old school, I mean, like, the only hint I'll give is I'm pretty sure he was in some famous comics back in the day for UO. I'm almost certain of that. But that's the only hint I'm going to give you. Please sit down and enjoy this, and we'll catch you all next time. All right, guys. Tonight I am sitting down with the one and only Chill. And first of all, Chill, thank you for sitting down with me. I know scheduling has been crazy, but sincerely, thank you, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Um, so we're gonna get right into kind of the first question and one that I have because I'm going to preface this with I know a little bit about you, but pardon my ignorance, so you're gonna have to fill in a lot of the blanks. I don't know your full story. I don't know the full LOD story. So as much as I'm a host, I'm actually this. I'm going to be in a listener mode too, where I'm very interested to hear about this. So I want to make sure everyone kind of knows where I'm coming from. So where did your name come about? Chill. Where does this come from?
So I think for whatever reason, I think I had my Ultima Online name before I had an AOL name,
Oh wow.
and yeah, it was just I was just thinking of names. When you sit down, you make your first name when you're creating a character, and I wanted to be something really cool. You know what I mean? Like
Of
something
course, yeah.
cold. And so, I was like, chill. And I typed it in. I guess I was the first person to have it because I got the name. And as far as I know, there's not really been any other chill. So I've kind of been blessed in that aspect too.
Right.
Nobody's came around and doppelganged me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that we know of, right?
That's a real thing too, dude. I mean, there's so many servers, but the fact that I was able to get that name and that's original name from OSI, '98. So
And
that's pretty
I'll
cool.
say one of the toughest things is creating a damn character, naming it. Like it's very difficult, I think, at least.
Yeah. So anyways, dude. So I named this character Chill, and so I make an AIM, an AOL Instant Messenger username,
Yeah.
and I try to go for something cold too. So I do like cool dog, blah blah blah, some years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're all taken. So anyways, I had to go with the suggested name, and it was like cold something or another. And it wasn't nearly as cool as I thought it was, but I've kept that same A1 Instant Messenger. I use the email now to this day, but it
Wow.
is a little bit funny that that kind of plugs into my UO name too.
So for everyone that's listening that may be younger, which we'll see, but we'll date ourselves here. Back in the day, right? AOL. Everyone's name, I swear to you, was like XX. Sniper God XX.
Yeah.
That
No,
was
it's true.
yeah. It was terrible back in the day. So when you created this, what is your age range? Are we like a young punk kid or what? Like how old are you?
I think so. I think I'm like around. I don't know. When I first made it, I was probably a teenager, probably
Perfect.
going, yeah, probably like 14, 15. And I had a friend, a real life friend, that was a neighbor. And, we would actually play. It was tough because you couldn't be on the phone at the same time you were playing with a friend.
Yeah.
So you'd have to call them and be like, hey, do you want to play in 20, 30 minutes? Cool. What OSI server are you getting on? And you'd be like, oh, I'm on Get Atlantic or I'm getting on AOL Legends or hey, let's just mess around on test. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was one of those deals where you couldn't call each other while you're playing. Now it gets worse than that. I had a grandma who liked to check in on me a lot, so I had a lot of interrupted gameplay. And my buddy actually had this program called Call Wave, which would allow it was like an answering machine that
Oh
allowed you not to
yeah.
get disconnected.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I thought it was the coolest thing, dude. He had cable and Call Wave, and I was just very envious of him.
Oh my gosh, dude, Callway. Remember they used to sell, was that like a dongle that you put on the phone line or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, it could have been. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right.
Oh wow, yeah, that's like dust just came off my brain. I have not thought of that. I remember Callway, and I think there was even, gosh, an infomercial. There was a few of them that would, yeah,
Oh yeah.
advertise, yeah, that.
No, you're
Wow.
right, dude. For sure.
Okay, so you picked. So I heard you said Atlantic. So was Atlantic and AOL Legends those two the ones you guys picked or what?
We played three before we moved to free servers. We played Atlantic, we played AOL Legends, and we played Test Center.
Okay.
I was chill. Actually, here are my usernames. I was chill, Triple X, and Horny Monkey. Those are my three usernames that I picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we didn't have like too much time. We were very active kids, running
Right.
around the neighborhood or whatever. But we played. We tried to play every day. But it was sporadic, and so we weren't necessarily power gamers. I don't think too many people were power gamers until cable came out, like maybe 2 3 years later.
Right.
Cable was really big, but.
And what kind of character, like, explain to me, you log in, what are you trying to do in the game? What kind of
Oh,
interested you?
so I was all about questing, man. You know what I mean? I like to
Okay.
party people and make up these scenarios. Well, hey, we need to go to quest. And as I got older, maybe my interest got a little bit darker. I then kind of a little bit of a cheese dick. I like to take new players into dungeons,
Yeah.
and like I would try to like be a helpful guy. I would take them to dungeons and say, "Hey, you need to farm here," and I'd actually come back after like an hour they farmed, and I'd PK him for all the gold he just made.
The classic. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So that very early on, and I think too, for everyone listening, and this kind of almost tying into my last episode, I will say there's a different mindset when you are a punk kid. At least it was for me as well, because I remember doing some pretty, like I would join a guild, wait a week, and then I'd kill everyone at the bank, AFK, and take all their armor, right? Just real kind of dickhead things to do. So, okay. And so as you started doing this, did you ever get into like the PvP scene, killing people, just for sport or what?
So I mean, when you played Ultima Online, especially back then, you were thrust into some PvP situations,
Yeah.
consensual or non-consensual. You know what I
Right.
mean? Sometimes shit would just go down. And I'll tell you, I certainly have an aversion for poison dexters. That's like you wake up sweaty with nightmares about
Yeah.
poison dexters. Back in the day. But I mean, dude, they were so overpowered. It was knocks everything, man. And
Right.
um, but yeah, eventually, I think I really started to get to PvP. Um, around 2000, maybe
Okay.
so 2000, and I think by then, upgraded to cable and had more access to play. And so I started. I think like the first server that I really um, got into was Test Center, man.
Yeah.
Test a lot of mechanics there, and started kind of lacing my boots up PvP wise. But I actually migrated pretty shortly after to free servers too, and I PvP'd relentlessly on those because those had easier. It was easier to make gold, easier to macro your skills up,
Right.
and yeah, everything was easy on free servers.
Well,
So
I
that's pretty cool.
remember playing, and I think this is my deep, profound obsession with macing. Is I remember going on the test center, and if my memory serves me correctly, like you could set your skills, obviously, whatever, but the magic stuff you still had to farm for, like a vank. You couldn't like just create those in a command. You still had to farm for those. And I remember just, man, farming for like a Vank, Warhammer or whatever, and then just going buck wild on Test Center, killing everyone. That's some of my
Oh yeah,
fondest memories.
especially in factions. I mean, the Vank Mace factioners were it was a whole build. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the crushing blow. I mean, it was like there
Yeah.
was nothing better.
But these
um,
guys, they would run around and all you would see was Punkte,
right.
Punkte. That's all you'd see would be like 213, and they're all you click on their weapon, it's some bank, mace or whatever. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and I love Test Center. Like, and it's funny, and I think there was a lot of people like me where I didn't, and maybe because it was I was a kid, like I didn't conceptually understand. Hey, you should test out builds because back then, and I think this was majority of people. To your point, there was no min max. There was not like, hey, I need to test this skill slightly if I add an extra 10 points. At least for me, there was none of that. Is that the same for you or what?
yeah, I mean, the cool thing about Test Center was, you got to be, rich and have all the resources and without any of the work that you would normally have to put in on another server. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like if you could be king for a day, is kind of what the Test Center felt like.
Oh yeah, and there were some massive. At least I remember in the graveyard because I had a house near the graveyard. There were massive PvP battles like every night. We're talking like 50 people running around a graveyard just going wild.
I was always about the graveyard PvP. Those are some of my fondest PvP memories. And a lot of people can't relate because I think free servers are a little bit different. But there wasn't. as big of an obsession with the Brick Graveyard as there was in OSI. On
Yeah.
OSI, Brick Graveyard was the place. That's
Yeah.
the place you first go to train your character. Everyone's there. There's reasons to be there. People are PKing. People. That's really the first place you go if you start out in Brit. You go to the graveyard. You work on some of your melee weapon skills. You try to get a
Yeah.
little gold too.
Well, and it made sense. It was just so close, right? Like the town was right there, So it just, I think people naturally gravitated towards that. And ever since, yeah, my test center days, like I just, man, I love the brick graveyard. It's just, it is a very fond memory for me. So okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. You're playing OSI. Did you ever on OSI like join a guild, create a guild, or anything like that?
On OSI, I don't think I started any guilds. I knew I was
Okay.
a part of a couple, but to be honest, they were so obscure, I don't remember the names.
Right, sure. Well, I mean, and two, for everyone, that remembers the old days, I mean, there was a million like people, and there was probably 10,000 guilds back then. I don't even know. Do you remember Chill the myuo.com where you could search like the guilds and the people? You could actually search your character. I think people forgot about that too.
Yeah, I actually don't think I ever checked that. The only thing around that, the only website that I went to around that time was for a macro tool called UO Loop, and at the time
Yeah,
it ranged from F1 to F12, and it's really the first macro tool you could have outside of the client.
right.
And so that was really the only website I went to was to get an updated version of that.
Yeah, no, that makes well, and I brought this up to a couple of free shard owners about that. Hey, it'd be cool to like post some of these statistics online because back then you could go to MyUO and it would, and I could have sworn it would tell you the top murderers, the top like the guild members too. It was really cool. Like it was just something different. I haven't really seen another MMO do that again. But yeah, that was definitely something that I do remember. So okay, so when did you stop playing OSI? Like what like release or publish was it? Do you remember? Like
So it was. I know it was before AOS.
okay,
I couldn't stand AOS. I really couldn't, dude. And
yep,
it seems like the expansions got worse and worse after that. So let's see. Right around maybe 2000, 2001, my real life friend introduced me to. It was like at first it was websites, and you'd have to go into UO folder, and you'd have to find your client README, your client text file,
right.
and you'd have to replace the actual IP address, like instead of the OSI.
Oh,
So
that's
you
right, the
copy and paste
INI
it.
file. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you'd have to go in there, replace it. You have to go to a website to see what the IP address is.
Right,
So you type in this website. Maybe it'd be on Yahoo, maybe it wouldn't. This is pre Google, right?
right.
So you go on there, you might find a website, and you'd have to copy and paste the IP address into the text document, and that's how you'd connect, right?
Yeah,
Now, after that, like maybe a year later, 6 months later, a program called UO Gateway came out that was really a big deal because it was the first time that all free servers were listed in one place
right.
without having to edit that file every time.
So I heard an interesting rumor, and this will probably be the one of many we talk about tonight. But someone told me I don't know if it's the original guy from Yo Gateway. I don't remember hell, it may have been you. I don't know. Someone said though that Yo Gateway's coming back. Apparently, that's what I heard. So I don't know if
Dude,
it's true.
I'd be glad for that, man. I mean, that guy did everyone such a big favor back then. But I'd heard something nefarious too a couple years ago that one server owner kind of had registered a lot of domains and was feeding all the traffic
Yeah.
towards his servers. I think maybe that's what you're referring to.
Maybe I don't know. I didn't hear about that. I heard, and this is my personal opinion. After a while, UO Gateway just lost its, I would say, credibility because yeah, it seemed like the numbers were just kind of like fudged. Because if I recall, it would tell you how many players were on the free shard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
think it was the average though. It was like a weekly
Yeah.
average maybe.
I call it like, well, hell, I'll call it now the Common Core math, right? It didn't really make sense. However, that was calculated, right? It kind of seemed like servers that were much like lower population would somehow be on the top rankings when you actually logged into the server. You're like, there's like 5 people playing, right? It just seemed kind of odd to me, but I don't know whether that's true or not, but I think the fact remains it was a very important tool back then because, I mean, hell, the idea of a UO launcher on a free shard, which is crazy that it took so long for a shard to do this, but
That's
that
right.
was still a obscure thing. You had to go into the your file, and I remember man, when I played hybrid, you can set up on hybrid and classic UO, dude. It was a nightmare. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, and I work in IT, and this is like way harder than it needs to be. You know?
Yeah. No, another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize back in the day is that it also had downtime percentage, and like no server really was above 85% downtime. I mean, there
Yeah,
was significant downtime. Imagine playing a server like Outlands, and it's regular for the server to go down for 1 or 2 days. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you contact the admin on ICQ or AIM, and you'd be like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I'd be like, "Hey, dude, my mom got pissed off at me, and she pulled the plug, or my
yeah,
girlfriend got pissed off, and she told me I had to go to the beach with her and shut everything down, or my
yeah.
there's a storm and knocked the power out when I was on vacation." So that
Right.
was a real thing, dude. We have it so nice now for free servers.
Oh, I know. I think there is a level of being spoiled where it's like, yeah, I don't even think about downtime. Like, I mean, you look at, some of these shit, like it goes down for 30 minutes and people are losing their damn minds. It's just crazy how far, we've come. So, okay, so we talked about your kind of about the UO gateway. So, what was the first like free shard that you found and how did you kind of find it after OSI?
Okay, so man, there were so many. Um, so when I first started playing, I think there were two or three different kinds of emulators: Sphere, Wolfpack, and there was another one that I can't think of the top of my head. But this is pre-Run UO,
Okay.
and when Run UO comes out, it absolutely revolutionizes the free shard community. Now, I think the first server I played was a Sphere server. My friend was actually staff there, and one thing you couldn't do on OSI Test Center and also on the servers was staff somewhere. So when
Right.
these emulators came out, if you had any dream of having ultimate power, you wanted to staff somewhere. So he was staff, and he recommended to me. It was called Legends of Darkness,
Okay.
and it would have three renditions. It was fairly popular. I mean, it was maybe top 10 most popular at that point in time. The free sharp population servers, I mean, it was kind of pitiful. I mean, most
Right.
players were still in OSI when the first free servers came out. But I think it was Sphere. I think you could run what you casted. I believe it was T2A.
Okay.
Um, back then it was popular. You could actually, in some servers, you actually have your weapons equipped while you cast it too.
Oh
That
wow.
was another
Okay.
weird thing. So like, if you saw people cast with shields on, that was not a big deal. You'd been like, that would have been just a normal everyday thing.
Right.
But that was a Moonglow based server, and it holds a very special place in my heart for nostalgia reasons. I just
Oh
I
yeah.
love the Moonglow feel, dude. I was a big sucker for Moonglow based servers because that server.
Oh no, for sure. And I think, I mean, gosh, yeah. My first server was hybrid for the free shards because it was after the AOS came out. Pub 16 released, and I tried AOS for like, I don't know, man, a couple months, and I'm like, this just sucks. The items change. Like, and I think too, this is my opinion, is back then, it was harder to find information. And what I mean by
Oh
that,
yeah,
like, like AOS, it was confusing as hell, man. It was like all of a sudden now there's 18 stats on a sword. And I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell does that all mean. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just it was really hard to understand like what they were doing compared to now, at least. Um,
Dude, they had a lot of spells. They introduced their paladin spells,
yeah,
their necromancer spells, and they weren't just like a couple. There were quite a few. So you have 64 spells as a mage, and then they add something like, I don't know, I'm just gonna take a random number, like 13 necromancer spells. There
right.
would be a paladin, something comparable to that too. So you're right, there was a lot of other spells, and at that point in time, for me at least, I was sitting there, trying to get my 5x skills, my magery skills, really trying to, go up a PvP tier, or like a,
Right.
yeah, trying to get a little bit better,
Oh yeah.
profession wise.
No, I know. Yeah, and I think that that's a huge thing. Is just like and I feel like I was a very old time player mentally because I just was like, this is and what I thought, and I still say this to this day. It made UO into like a Diablo kind of loot game because I remember for some reason Diablo was very popular back then, and I'm like, I already have this in Diablo, right? Where I have like 100 different items, or whatever, right? Stats and all that crap, which is cool. But I'm like, I didn't really want that in UO. I don't know. That's me.
Sucker for any Blizzard game. I played any and all Blizzard games, and I took a big break from Ultima to play Warcraft 3,
Yeah.
the custom maps. So yeah, I've been a Blizzard guy for a long time too. I think Warcraft 3 is my second love, and of course that had the famous offspring of Dota as well.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it was revolutionized. I think that kind of genre of games for sure. So okay. So moving on from your first free shard, what came after that?
All right, so Legends of Darkness, Moonglow based. Um, Another famous player actually played there with me, Big Cheese, famous dueler, well known on hybrid,
I've heard
well
this name
known.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an exploit extraordinaire.
Okay.
Very very good coder as well. But he's a well known in PvP scene. I played with him and his brother, and I would later find out that his brother's account was his character name was called Vilord, Vilord,
Okay.
and so fast forward to Outlands, or 2018, came full circle when Big Cheese was in the LOD guild,
Wow.
and I could sit there and say, wow, he's been in the guild for, I don't know, 17, 18 years. We
Yeah.
played together from back then, but there were other players that I had on my aim list that I've still played together to this day, or Aim's down now, but one of them, is another guy from UOF, Stone Southern. I was friends
Okay.
with Pax Remain. His Aim was Champ Z. Was friends with him on AOL and some Messenger for a long time, dude. So, if I could do one thing though, it would just be find some way to get back in contact with my entire aim list, because so many guys I've lost, contact with and touch. I
Yeah.
went and made a Reddit post, I don't know, like a while ago, 10 years ago maybe, and tried to get a hold of those people. But, I think some people have quit UO forever, and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I think it was weird talking about aim and like we're in the Discord age now, right? But I mean, something about aim and like for everyone that's not aware, like aim was pretty much a big deal because of the offline messaging, similar to ICQ, but aim was like the sexier, cooler, hip kind of program, in my opinion. I don't know. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, so I had two aims. I had aims for my school friends, and I had aim for my gaming buddies. You know what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, you could simultaneously be talking about PKing and noob, and also trying to get laid at the same time on different AOL Messenger accounts. So yeah, it was a little bit of a like a sexier social thing.
And I remember, and gosh, I'm really gonna date myself here, but I remember having T-Mobile had this phone called the Sidekick. I don't know if you ever remember this, but it was like the first phone with like a pop out keyboard kind of deal,
Oh
and
yeah,
and
yep.
had, and yeah, and I remember, man, I had aim on that thing, and I mean, I just felt like $1 million. Like, wow, I am on aim, like, on my phone. Like, crazy.
Yeah, dude. I had I think like the first cell phone I got was like a Nokia, and the keep in mind this is such a funny thing. The only game on there was Snake.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people are familiar with Snake, but I mean that is just how bad it was, how pixelated it was.
Oh yeah,
Funny times.
it was terrible. So okay, so you've definitely played with a lot of of the heavy hitters. So how did that evolve into kind of some of the more well known like free shards?
Right. So Legends of Darkness had three renditions, one, two, and three.
Yeah,
I took a break, kind of played Warcraft 3 simultaneously. I played Gamers. Pretty much anything that Gamers put out, I more or less played. In 2004, Angel Island came out, and I made an account there. I didn't really get into that until 2005, 2006. I started playing that server real heavily, and
okay,
that server was probably at that point in time it was based on Siege Perilous. That was a hardcore server. I mean,
okay.
that was
So
a
it's
server.
based on Siege. That's the whole premise
Yes,
of Angel. Okay, got it.
that's yep. So it's a hardcore server, which means there's less gold, and you can't sell things to vendors. And not only that, the price of everything's three times higher. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
more, yeah, it's a little more grindy, but it's for a harder core crowd. You know what I mean? It's less forgiving than some of the other servers for sure.
And
Tough
could
players, good PvPers.
and could you only have one character?
Yeah, I think at the beginning it originally was one IP per account.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm a supporter of that. And Outlands came up with the system to where they can do it by dungeon, limiting IPs. But it
Yeah.
really is just so much simpler if you just say, "Hey, one IP," and that's the way OSI was. I mean, people you paid $20 to get on, for a month, and a lot of people didn't want to pay more than 20 for two accounts or whatever. So a lot of times, you had your four or five characters on there.
Right.
So that, and you didn't have to worry about that because computers weren't that great either. You didn't have to worry about some dude with a
Yeah.
supercomputer that's able to run 10 clients at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I think it would be an interesting concept to do one character like per IP, like kind of because I think Siege and OSI was like that. You could only use one character. So if you wanted to be like a thief, that's what you were. Like you hit. There was no other alt. You know.
Yeah, dude, I support that as well, man. I do think that like I was saying earlier, we're so spoiled now in 2021. The game has lost a bit of its bite. I feel like just in general, the free server community is drifting towards Tremel, and
Yes.
I'm going to blame Outlands for that. I think they're the ones that's kind of shifting the paradigm towards Tremel.
I
Shots fired.
I kind of view Outlands as the like Blizzard kind of deal. They are the corporate entity that has come in and given us, a pretty decent structure of their version of the game, right? I'll say that because I think everyone's creation is just their kind of vision of it, right? It's not, you know, I'll just put air quotes, everyone else's cup of tea, but I do think Outlands, and who knows, and this will be an interesting conversation. Is this why it's so successful? It does give blue players a lot more protections than we've ever seen. I think in a free shard, is my opinion.
Yeah, so they bow tied it. So they start off. This is before Allen's a hit. They start off and they want to keep it like pretty fell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they sell you on. They tell you these ideas, and later, more or less, all of the features that are fell are going to get changed. But at the beginning, the guys that were on board, they're like, okay, this is going to be a fell shard. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can steal stuff. You'll be able to kill the bank. There's not going to be insured items. And as you go on, we were kind of sold a pipe dream, you know, like every week, they take one little baby step closer to Trammell, and they have this following now. If they could only see how far they've drifted to the to Trammell side of things with every little change, the red changes in the dungeons with making them
Right.
cost so much. You can't fight anyone. The non-aggression timers, like 2 hours in a dungeon or whatever. You not be able to bank bomb. Things of that nature. The fact that you have these huge PVM bonuses on this aspect armor, but do you lose experience when you die? Does your armor and your aspect level, do you lose anything? No, that's all guaranteed. That's insured. So anytime you have
Yeah.
this, it's not tangible. Anytime you have something that another player can't take or steal from you, or it's not affected, that's when you get into it. Feels like insurance. It feels like their whole aspect system is more or less item insurance and some high end PVM gear.
Well, and I'll tell you this. One thing that like really I've never seen this before in UO is bringing pack horses in a dungeon. That's
It's pretty
perhaps.
bold.
Well, I think maybe that says the state of the PVM versus the risk versus reward, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
I mean,
So anyway,
yeah,
yeah. So Angel Island, I played there from '06 to '09. I terrorized that server. I had pretty strong grip hold on it. I did mostly PKing, but that was one of the first times I was like a super power gamer. You know what I mean?
right.
Had some free time, was able to invest. Got my skills down, got my spell timings down. So I got a lot of good, PvP experience there. There were some really great PvPers in that server. A lot of people don't realize, it is on foot, but some of the all-time greats PvP'd on that server. I don't think a lot of these guys could hold their ground with some of those guys. These new school PvPers with their alchemy pots and their scripts. I
Right.
mean, these guys couldn't hold a candle to these other guys. The old school guys, man, the veterans, grizzled. They had all the timers down without all the script numbers popping on over top of people's heads. I put my money on a veteran, an Angel Island veteran, before I put my money on any other PvP veteran on any other server. I mean, that server just pumped out good PvPers like a factory. You know what I mean?
So
Tough PvPers.
explain for a lot of people that may not be familiar with Angel Island because there's a lot of new people that have come into this space. What Hey guys, quick sponsored commercial break here. This podcast specifically is sponsored by Death Wish Coffee. I want y'all to head over deathwishcoffee.com. Use code Ultima Online. It's a special code that only is available for listeners of this podcast. It gets you a nice discount. Look, the fact is, I'm sure everyone drinks coffee. I know I do. I use this product. I've been using it for about 3, 4 years now. I've been sipping Death Wish coffee. It is unbelievable. If you want to support me, you want to support this podcast, you believe in my vision, let me tell you, Death Wish is basically literally fueling me with coffee to pursue my passion, which is expanding this podcast as far as we can go. So please check them out. And honestly, give me some feedback. Let me know if you guys have tried it. I know I've gotten a couple people have already ordered stuff. Sincerely, thank you. But thank you very much, guys.
From 2004 until 2014.
Wow.
It was one IP, and those one IPs were it's like 321 single IPs. So if you do the math now, that'd be like close to 1,000. But
Yeah.
had a big population back then in the day. He was famous, and the website was GameMaster.net. I think at least 11,100 players, came through and registered an account. I
Wow.
was reading the statistics on it, so it was kind of a big deal. But
Yeah.
like I said earlier, at Siege Perilous rule set, you know, PvPers came there to grind their teeth. They were also, tamers and PVMers, and there was a lot of cool coding. I mean, keep in mind, this was a professional coder in a time where, UO servers were run by amateurs.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, it was like a pit bull against puppies. So Adam kind of cleaned up a little bit. The only competition really being, UO
It
gamers
was
who
hybrid
had
back
this.
then. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it. Mm.
yeah, really. Yeah. So, anyways, it went down in 2014, and luckily for us, Adamant just came back and he's going to start another rendition of it now.
Now, what do you, explain to me too, because this is an interesting one. How does like, because I can't even conceptualize this because I played it when there was mounts. Like, how is the mountless PvP? Like, what is that like?
So he was an OSI player, and he was a stealther, dungeon stealther in the Dungeon Wind with a guild card, Guardians, Guardians of Undead Lords, or something of that to that effect.
Okay.
And so, he played a character that was on foot all the time, and so at least for him, it didn't really make sense that you couldn't stealth on a horse. So, when he'd stealth around, people on horses, could get away quickly. And what he came to realize, being a Dexter too, is that, when he tested it, the PvP actually seemed more enjoyable when it was on foot because back in the day, there was a ping disparity. Let's say if somebody's playing from the West Coast and the server's on the East Coast player, if he's a Dexter, is just going to run you down.
Yeah.
Or even for free servers, you get people playing from across the pond, and they would really be at a loss. Angel Island had a lot of a Russian community, and also some guys from the United Kingdom that
Okay.
played too, and it also attracted a fair number of Australians, and that's all because the ping was a lot more fair when you're on foot.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. And maybe you can help better describe. Someone described to me Angel Island as like an RP kind of server. Is that true or not?
So there are some aspects. A lot of the RP groups that you see now today, orcs. There's an undead guild. There have been dwarf guilds. A lot of those guys like Angel Island because it has the classic UO feel. It's
Right.
got the immersion of it being like a medieval server. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like a hybrid or any other number of servers. Ultima Online Forever, where you get these blaze orange neons or pure whites, and
Yeah.
it's a real eyesore. You get this pink that literally makes your irises burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's a server it's like a classic medieval server. So it's got the immersion, and that's something that I really enjoy about it is that when you're playing it, you can get immersed. It doesn't have the QOL quality of life. It doesn't have a lot of those things, but I think if anything, that preserves the classic OSI feeling that we all love. We all get the nostalgic fix when you play Angel Island.
Yeah, because it's like when I talked to Puck over in UO Renaissance. I mean, you could tell there's a immense passion, for what they got going on in a similar, way where they want to preserve that era, and that's it. And I think there is something special, about that for sure. So, after Angel Island, I want to kind of fast forward. Once that's dead, how did you get? I'm just gonna kind of jump a little bit, and if you don't want
Sure,
to, let
sure.
me know.
No,
But
that's fine.
how do you hear about Outlands? How did that all come about?
Okay, so I think I've told this story before, but I think it was New Year's Eve, and I think I was drunk, and so I just like when I get for whatever reasons, like you drink, the nostalgia bug, or whatever. So I hopped
Yeah,
on Google and did like Ultima Online, ran through a couple discords, came to Outlands, the Outlands Discord, popped
yeah,
in there. And I think actually I was kind of mouthy, and I think I got banned like shortly thereafter. But I think Owen, and he probably this is his biggest regret to this day. I think he unbanned me like 2 days later because
yeah,
this was so early in their beta production. I mean, they couldn't afford. They had like there was 50 players in their Discord. They
right,
couldn't afford to lose anybody. And I was kind of like a big name back then. They're like, oh shit, it's chill. We might want him on the team here.
right.
So yeah, he let me back in there, and it was kind of smooth sailing from there. I helped beta test. I did a significant amount of beta testing for UO Outlands, and those guys on that administration team hate giving me any credit for it.
So why did you choose to like do the bait? Like, explain a little bit more. Because if you're not being, and I'm just going to be frank with you, and if you're not being paid to beta test, like, what was your driving reason? Because I think what people don't realize is, I mean, yes, you helped, but it seemed like you helped in a very big way, where you were in the weeds, figuring stuff out. What kind of, like, why? What was your motivation?
So the reason I like to do that, I like to put my footprint, my prerogative, onto these servers as they're being crafted, like with clay.
Yeah.
So for me, they had this. I think one of the things I instilled in them was I did like mountless PvP better, and so they kind of ran with that a little bit. I'll have to send you a screenshot, but I used to dunk on Luthien. I've got so many screenshots of me and Axel or me and Bacca, sink dumping on Luthien.
Yeah.
So that was my main contact. I did a lot of the faction struggle testing, and then that was my main thing. Just wanted to give my input for the PvP there. The other thing, and Owen like hated me for this, so we kind of already started off on the wrong foot. I was a big fan of Circle of Transparency. I've played with it since '98. I refused to turn it off, and so I would submit so many tile bugs where like a tile doesn't make sense or whatever. I
Yes.
would kind of bombard him with that, and it would make him furious. I mean, the guy absolutely hated the fact that I'd find all these obscure tiles that just didn't make sense or were empty or the coloring was wrong. I mean, because he did do a good job on building a beautiful world, but
Yeah.
there were tons of map bugs. I mean, map bugs everywhere. Um,
No, it's
so
an
probably
ambitious effort, to say the least, for sure. And I will say, the tiles definitely are still an issue in some areas.
yeah, they sure are. So the beta testing. Okay, so let's see. There's some other things that I did. I just tested the mechanics and I
What was
gave
your
input.
thought? Like, what was your thought pro? Like, did you like what you were testing, or like what?
Well, I would check in. I'd do a little bit of testing, a couple days here, come back 2 months later, or here and there, and then
Okay.
sometimes I would test more frequently. But they used to have this, development pipeline, and it'd be the map making aspect was just taking so long. Um, it was just lasting like we thought that the map making would never get finished. Did I know it was going to be a big success? I mean, there certainly was a lot of hype. I mean, no other server in free shard history took that long to develop and beta. Not
Right.
at all. I mean, so they were the first that did that. So people did appreciate it. There was some buzz around it, um, and some friends of mine, were talking about it. But just based on the effort they put alone, the amount of time, I think some people were looking forward to it.
So what, as you've seen this thing get created, like, my opinion in talking with, Lucius and Owen, a while back is, I kind of see why certain things are the way they are, because, at heart, these guys are not PvPers, right? At all. And, like, not in the least bit. And I feel like you really see that represented in the world. Is that a fair statement?
Oh man, don't get me started. So Owen is a trammy. Just plain and simple. Owen
Sure.
is a trammy. Luthien, he's more of a fighter, a PvPer. He understands that people get killed, and that's just the way UO is. And sometimes it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And the game's meant to have pain upon death. I mean, this isn't WoW. This isn't AOS. I mean, there's no item insurance. We're all fan of the Felucan rule set. That's why we're here.
Yep.
But um, so Luthien is a Dexter, and I would say I feel like there's more mages than there are Dexters in PvP, and so I'd say that Luthien might be a bit clueless. One of the guys they enlisted to help them with the mage PvP was Pax Remain because he was there testing with me and the other guys.
Okay.
So Pax Remain had a lot of input in as well. He's one of the most famous duelists. Um, And so Owen's completely clueless. He knows how to make a beautiful map, you know, and people give him credit that. Um, probably doesn't know really how to be a community manager or necessarily be a good or decent admin. But I think most people have come to realize that Owen is a map maker. He owns a server. Probably not the best admin, and probably lacking as an admin. Luthieus, excellent coder. Probably maybe will go down as the goat of coding for
Yes.
Ultima Online servers, but not really plugged in with mage PvP or group PvP. Not that it's really his fault, but I mean, overall the PvP experience on Outlands is lacking, and that's where they're gonna get hurt down the road. Is that when you walk away from Outlands PvP, it's not really even just nostalgic. There's so many new things like hamstring, um,
I'll just
other
tell you,
things to have.
it's frustrating is the experience. I mean, I'm just you
Yeah,
know
dude, it's not good.
I'll tell you, out of every, I haven't obviously played every free shard in existence, but in terms of Ultima Online, I tell people this all the time that the time to live in on this shard is so high. At times, it's almost ludicrous to try to kill someone one on one. Like, and I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, I mean, there's no para, there's no stun, so it's like, yeah, obviously you get paralyzed, but you know what I'm saying? The fencers can't, stop people physically. There's no stun punch, so it really like fights can last 30 minutes. I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Here are my two big issues. Issue number one, it's not nostalgic. It doesn't feel like the PvP I've been doing for what 20 years now or whatever, how many ever years.
Yes.
It doesn't feel right to me. It's too custom, and everything's just like too weird. It just feels off. It doesn't really make sense. It's not really intuitive. And number two is just that it doesn't. It's not fun. I mean, people just don't really enjoy it. You can't go from that server if you get good at that server. You go to another server, and it's like you have to completely relearn PvP. It's not transferable.
Right.
So if you get to be a really good arena duelist in there, you can't take that experience with you. That's only good on Outlands. As a matter of fact, it's actually detrimental to get good at Outlands PvP and then go somewhere else because the timings are weird. There's insta hit. T2A is not nearly as popular as UR PvP,
Right.
and so that's kind of frustrating to me. Is like as a 5x guy, and I'm a famous 5x dueler. You have poison, and poison is your bread and butter. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
got to poison them, and then you got to interrupt them, right? And on this server, you heal through poison. Poison is almost worthless. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
It's all about timers and timing your weapons, making sure you equip weapons at the right time. It's almost like Dex or dueling. I don't like it, but um, I think the UO community, by and large, has agreed that it's not quality PvP. And like I said, that might be Outland's biggest fault is that it doesn't produce a quality PvP experience.
Well, and I think truly it's a farming simulator. They have done a unbelievable job at the grinding aspect of the PVM side. Like they've clearly, you know, have some intense systems that we've never really seen thus far, and at least in my opinion, on a custom server that really forces a player to grind for a very long time to get what they want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think too, one of the things it excels at is some of the gold, you know, I would say sinks, right? That they have help, but in the reality, this is UO. People are going to hoard money. There's nothing you could do. But I heard, and maybe you can help fill in the blanks. Someone said back in the day there was a gold dupe on Outlands. What's the scoop on that? Did you know anything about that?
Which gold dupe are we talking about? I mean,
I don't
dude,
know.
if Outlands had a Achilles heel, it'd be that they there's a new dupe gold dupe every week, dude. I mean, you talk about, so for example, right? Angel Island ran from 2004 to 2014. There were gold dupes on Angel Island, sure, but they
Yeah.
had 10 years to fix them. So,
Right.
dude, you better trust and believe that a server that been run 10 years has most of the gold bugs taken care of. Owen goes in like a baby, brand new, like, with just this optimistic feeling that the players won't cheat. Well, I got to tell you, Outlands was the biggest issue of any free server with gold dupes. Probably,
Wow.
I don't know if it's because the gold is transferable to real life wealth or what it is, but they just have so many systems um, in place, and the thing is the gold the systems that they use to track gold are not effective. So that's
Right.
number one. I don't know if it's the frequency in which these systems run. They're not good about catching these dupes, right? Second of all, they didn't go back and read some of these ass chopper websites for gold dupes. Like they had guilds like Money Guild that specialized in finding bunches of gold dupes.
Right.
Um, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it's that players don't respect Owen or what it is, but there have been numerous gold dupes on Outlands. I was involved in whistleblowing, maybe the biggest gold dupe, which I'd be happy to go into in a little bit. But
Yeah.
Outlands is the economy there is trashed. Owen, they're not doing a good job of protecting the economy. They're like lambs to slaughter when it comes to gold duping. If you want to dupe gold, go to Outlands because it's super easy.
Well, and I'll say this, for a lot of people that are listening, there is a black market for gold. Like people are selling gold for cash. I will tell everyone that. I mean, that's it's not some
Yeah, any
dirty
server.
secret. You're
There's a
right.
black
Yeah.
market in everything in the world. Yep.
Right. So I know that's occurring, and I think, and it was funny. And it's funny you mentioned Ash Chopper because we play with Chopper. He plays with us. I mean, it's just awesome guy. But I was talking to him the other day, and I'm like, I told him I was like, it's so weird. And even in my talk with Manfred, my last, I mean, hell, just listen to my last episode. I mean, there's people that have dedicated their lives to exploiting, right? But like, I'm like, it's really weird on free shards. We don't really hear about bugs or like exploits, and I don't know. I guess I'm not. Maybe I don't have my ear to the ground, but it's like you don't really hear it publicized. Like, hey, we caught. Because OSI still, by the way, to this day, will say we caught so many people abusing this, and we've banned this many accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems
Oh,
like
you
it's
could
just
get
a
banned real quick in OSI, dude.
yeah,
And sometimes it wasn't even just, but I mean, they were sticklers. And people, when you pay for an account, when you pay $20 a month, you don't want to get banned. So
right,
there's kind of this, you're incentive laden not to get banned because they could just ban your IP too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it was one of those deals where you put all this time and effort in these accounts. It's not like here where you can just go through on a VPN. You know what I mean? There's
yeah.
actually you would lose out on money if you got banned on OSI.
Oh well, and there have been speculation that that has been fueling some of the real life cash sales of gold on Outlands is and probably some of these dupes that you've been talking about. Who knows? I mean, I think it's a bit naive to think any game, any system's not going to be exploited to shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just human nature to find exploits. It's human
Right.
nature to take shortcuts.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, it's going to happen, right? There's no doubt in my mind, and I think it's very interesting that kind of like the ban, because I know a couple of my guild members have caught 30-day bans for just random stuff. It doesn't, and this is my opinion, is it doesn't seem consistent in the way people are banned, why they're banned. To me, I don't know from the outside.
Yeah, if you don't mind, do you mind if I go on a tangent here?
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is kind of feeds into your gold dupe. Um, some of the listeners here have listened to my previous podcast on Inside Outlands episode, Chilling with Chill, and to kind of take it over from there, my name's Chill. I'm the guild master of a large guild called Legends of Darkness, aka LOD. We dominated Outlands. More or less, I beat anything you can imagine as far as guild competition. On Outlands, I have the only player statue for reaching 5,000 prestige points. Um, and so, we kind of I kind of beat that server. When I beat the server, I actually kind of lost interest in UO. I took a break. I left Field on, in case I decided not to come back to UO. And I
Right.
set up a steward. My steward was Delphi. I put Delphi in charge. So I made that decision because I felt like it was in the best interest of LOD moving forward to put him in that position to where he could lead in my absence. And I left Field on in case it never came back.
Sure.
I took after getting the first Omni, the first guild, huge leads, dominating every kind of end game content, dominating Corpse Creek competition. Not only were we dominating PvP, we're dominating the bosses, anything you can imagine. We crushed all the other guilds at launch or within the first year, fairly early in the server. And so I took that break. When I came back, um, I was actually already fealtied out. So I
Okay.
quit UO. I quit UO before I got fealtied out, and I had some issues with what Delphi was doing. I had some issues, some character issues with what I saw,
Okay.
and that leads into this gold dupe. So it turns out that Delphi orchestrated the largest dupe of gold and other items in the server history,
Whoa.
and he was banned because of that. But the amount of time he was banned, I think it was like a week, maybe was it a month? I mean, I think
No, come
V.
on, man.
No, seriously, dude. I think
And how much
Vuitton
gold are we
and
talking about? Like, let everyone know. Like, what are we talking? Like a
hun-
million? Like,
hundreds of millions. I
wow.
mean, dude, I think the thing I heard was 87 times they were able to do what, like a T10 or T8 boss, whatever it was.
Oh my.
So they were just doing it over and over and over again. And funny enough, the story goes that Floob was actually intimately involved in that too. The rumor is that Floob's gotten banned for gold duping. That's why he's banned right now. Some would say Floob might be the most notorious gold duper out there, but so he was actually an LOD. Not a lot of people know this, but Floob was an LOD. At the very end, before I retired, I had Vuitton, I had Floob, I had everyone from Money Guild. All the best players were DMing me to get in.
Yeah.
And I guess I lost interest in UO. I'd already beaten it. I'd already achieved everything I wanted in UO.
Right.
Anyways, the character deficiency in Delphi. So Delphi sat there and orchestrated the largest dupe in history. And I have an issue with cheaters, man. I worked hard on the server for beta, try to produce a decent server, and Owen's kind of you know turned his back on me and drifted towards Trammell. I think a lot of the guys that give advice to Owen have quit or he's banned them because we're toxic for the community, the Felucan players, the wolves
Right.
of the community. So, actually, it's the funny thing is, so a lot of these beta testers, we came together as a group and we were going to stage an intervention for Owen because, quite frankly, he was acting like a little bitch, dude. And
Wow.
he was
Okay.
banning
Yeah.
he was banning everybody, man. Um, Axel was banned from Discord and Donald Trump. I mean, basically, he turned his back on all the guys that helped build the server.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, Owen decides to only ban Delphi, and I find this out through a staff connection who I won't name in here, but I feel like I've shown you a little bit of proof in
Yeah.
my DMs, pictures wise.
Right.
So I find out through a staff connection that this gold dupe's taking place, and that Delphi was behind it. And this is so fast. Like I hear about it before the admin does, and I
Right.
have other players than the guild. Like, look, dude, like I've got morals, I've got ethics. I can't, I don't want to go through with this. This is fucking shitty. You know what I mean? So
Damn.
all these players are messaging me like it's a shit show. Owen's trying to put raps on it. He immediately mutes me on the Discord, so I can't tell everyone, hey, there's been a lot of dupe. A lot of gold was dupe. He's trying to keep it secret. So I get muted in Discord, banned on Discord. I'm talking to him in person. I sent you the conversation.
Right.
More or less, he tells me, yes, there has been a lot of gold, duped. I don't feel like telling the community about it, but I will ban you if you tell anyone about it. And sure enough, if there's one thing that I'm good at doing, it's running my mouth. So I absolutely tell everybody, and there's egg on Owen's face. He's pissed off. I'm
Right.
kind of a dick to him in DMs. I get banned just for really being a dick. You know what I mean? And that's the story of how I get banned. Really, because I just had an issue. If LOD is my, you know, if it's so to speak, the child of my creation. If I create LOD and some douchebag wants to run its name through the mud, there was some issue with people selling guild cloths, scamming people, and
Yeah.
then the guild master is the head guy for the biggest dupe in Outlands history after I put that much effort. Yeah, that's where I had an issue, man.
Right.
So, for him to only catch a 30-day ban tops for the largest dupe in history. That's a bit of a joke, dude. But that was my end on Outlands there, and I just came back recently, and I'm playing Angel Island now, and I've got bones to pick with a lot of other server admins too. It's not just Owen. Trust me, I would love to talk about some of these other admins as well.
Well, and you kind of bring up an interesting point that, you know, I truly don't understand some of the mechanics in Outlands because, like, and here this is my one I think thing that they could do better is like just to report stuff. You just have to DM someone hoping that they reply. I can tell you like I've DM'd Owen a few times on things that I've saw and I've got nothing ghosts. Like not that I don't know if he's read it. I don't know if he's just said screw it, right? Just no response at all, right? And I think the communication there is lacking because let's be real. We all know this is UO. I mean, drama happens, toxic shit's gonna happen, sure, but it's like to just act all like everything's fine. Well, we all know it isn't, right? And this is my opinion, and it's been this way, from the beginning. That I truly believe Outlands is a business first. It is,
Oh
and
yeah, dude, for sure.
and I'll be honest with you, I'm actually okay with it. They've created a product, they've done it, and if people are willing to spend money, then you know what, screw it, right? That unfortunately that's the that's the day and age we live in, right? The cash shops are king, but at the same time, what you're gonna see with the business is, to your point, the wolves and the PKs, right? They're not buying prevailing coins, right? I mean that's my opinion. It's the blues that are doing that and spending, money. So, one could say it feels like, yeah, blues get a little bit of more, treatment than the reds. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Here's my take on the State of the Union right now, 2021 free servers wise. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. So there's only one free server and only one admin who is necessarily like a nonprofit. He doesn't operate really even cover his own costs. He operates losing money. That's Adam Ant. Right now in the beta phase, there's not even a donate option. You cannot even donate if you wanted to. This is
Wow.
somebody that's using his own money to get you a right the way it's supposed to be. Owen, on the other hand, I mean, I don't know where's he putting all this money. Is it underneath his mattress? Does he have offshore? Does he have offshore
I don't
accounts now?
know.
I mean, dude. So this was the big fear for a lot of guys is that you have a really successful donation shop, which people are getting money for. Anything they donate, they can get gold for. So more or
Right.
less, you can spend money and get it directly with one transaction after you do it. You're just basically buying gold in game.
You're
So
buying
that was
millions of
always
gold. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that was always everyone's biggest fear. And Owen's a master at hiding stuff. Master at hiding his slight changes towards Trammell. He's a master at hiding these, trying to hide the fact that people can translate their money in real life to things in power in game. You know what I mean? So it does have an aspect of P2W, pay to win. There is that aspect in Outlands. So right now, the only server that you can rely on that has really, and this is to the admin's own detriment, is Angel Island. He's not out there to make money. Now later on, maybe he'll accept donations. I don't know. I think financially he's doing pretty good. He doesn't need the money. So then you have another famous server Ultima Online Forever, which I think has the most notoriously
Yeah.
bad, pay to win donation shop, and it just kind of makes me throw up my mouth a little bit just thinking about it. Not only does the server admin Shane have a terrible reputation, but he also has the aspect that that's probably been the most notorious pay to win server in the history of
Well,
free service.
I'll say this, man, publicly that yeah, I've reached out to Shane. I've sent carrier pigeons. Hell, maybe I should send him a postcard. I don't know, but I have offered him countless times to come on here if he wants to clear any air, just to even speak about UO forever. This platform is open. I've not even got a response, either yes or no. So. You know, take that from what you will, but I truly believe that Outlands is what Shane kind of wanted on a mass scale, is my opinion.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, man. Chill, LOD. I've got no problem calling people out. I back my shit up. Number one guild master of all time. Probably the top 5 or at least from 2017 on. I'll openly invite any other guild to compete with LOD on Angel Island. Gluttony from EQMS, you can come get some. You know what I mean? Bobby, you want some smoke? Sure, I got plenty of it. Nobody can stop LOD. Nobody can stop me in this game. Very, very rarely do you find a true master of the game. And, I don't want to pump myself up too much, but I just, if I can dominate Outlands as thoroughly as I did, I can dominate any server in the world. And if anyone wants to take the crown off my head, they can come get it. I'll call out any server admin, any guild master, any PvP guild, SOF, Zergy, trash, Ice, trash, Com. You want some? Come get it. Angel Island, buddy. I'll take anyone on in the free server community. You can come from OSI and get some, dude.
I,
Doesn't matter to me, man.
I will say I think that we almost need to record that. Just as I need to make you like a little like recruiting video just with that, because that was a good promo, and I think this is why I love the PvP scene. I love the shit talking. The This game is just, there's no other game that I've played, man, that like has the egos, that has the, I don't know, like I love it. I love every second of it. And see, you mentioned calm. I've been trying. There's only one calm guy I want to talk to, which is Sir Bart. He's the only one that I feel like is perhaps from the old school calm days. But calm currently is a disaster. By the way, don't even. They're I think it's an embarrassment of what it was. Um, but yeah, I think Angel Island's going to be a very interesting to see how this comes, because to your point, man, it's 2021. It's summer. Population overall is down. This usually happens in the summer. Pandemic's ending. The question is, who can hold on to the population game? That's kind of my question.
Yeah, Angel Island has a huge base. Like I think I said, 11,100 registered users. And they have that on the email list. When Angel Island server comes back up, when it reboots, people will install UO or install Discord. I mean, these guys didn't even have Discord before, but they'll install UO like anytime. We've got a fervent base
Yeah.
of people who feel passionate that this is the best rule set in UO, and we know it's not going to turn into a snowball of Tramiel like Outlands did. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
Owen starts with this solid foundation of Feluca, and slowly over time they just go straight to Tramiel. You know what I mean? So you know what you get when you get to Angel Island. It's not for everybody. If you're a pussy, you're probably not gonna like Angel Island. It doesn't have the best quality of life updates. It's a tough server. Someone will kill you and res kill you and dry loot you, and that's just the way a hardcore Felucan server is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hope, and that if you want to play UO with the pain of death, without feeling like a little sissy girl, then I think Angel Island's right for you.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, what really caught my eye was the no mounts. I thought that was extremely interesting because I was just trying to conceptualize, how the hell do you PvP with no mounts? Like, how, it's a different fight because, I don't know, in my mind, there's not a lot of off screening, at least as much as when you're on a mount. I don't know.
Yeah, there's not nearly as much off screening. It forces players, especially in one on ones. You get a lot of quality one on ones, and that's something that you never get anywhere else on any other server. You get a lot of quality one on ones, and players have to fight.
Right.
Um, so yeah, sometimes you just can't get away. So you're almost guaranteed a fight on Angel Island. You'll get a lot of one on ones there, which has a really good nostalgic UO feel. Um, but the population is going to be really big for Angel Island. I'm going to go ahead and call it now. It's not nearly as trammy as Outlands, so it probably won't beat Outlands, but it's going to have a bunch of people, and there's going to be a lot of action.
Yeah, I think too, overall, a server launch is something special within itself, whether it has, damn 5 people or 500. There's something magical about it. I personally, I will say I've never done a server launch. I don't know if it's just been, crap timing or whatever. I've never done it myself. And I've always been interested to do that because I think that first like rush, right, is just, that's something magical to me, at least in my mind. Can you confirm that or what?
Yeah, so you'll get a lot of that dopamine rush of nostalgia when you play Angel Island. You'll have the feeling you did back when you played '98 because there's not neons.
Right.
There's classic housing. Don't even get me started on custom housing. Oh my God, it looks so ugly. So there's no their custom housing is if it fits a medieval era, if it fits the immersion, then the owner will build it and you'll get a profit, set of profits if you design it. And you design it on the test center of the server. And so we've got hundreds of houses that would look era accurate, that look medieval, that have a nice feel to them, and they don't look like a bleeding eyesore like UOF houses or hybrid houses did. So you get a lot of the classic feeling from the housing as well.
Right.
Um, really everything. There are some custom systems that I like to talk about. One of them is player ran cities. If you have enough money, you can put a city, you can build walls around it, you can add vendors to it and guards. So for the first time in UO history, players can make their own cities. And you can come in, if you're an invading force, you can come by and you can lay siege and destroy their walls. So that's a
Wow.
pretty cool feature. There's also breeding, like a Gregor Mendel breeding, so where there's gene traits, and you can make and spend a lot of time making some very powerful dragons by breeding them correctly.
Hmm.
The other cool things is that for factions, you have monsters that can fight alongside you. Every dungeon's um, is connected to a certain faction. So, for example, Wind is related to like a council of mages type deal. So anything that's a mage spellcaster, if you're in that faction, they can help you if you're in that dungeon. Or you used to be able to hire those guys with you, just like you would hire, you know, the guards in factions on a normal server.
Right.
And so you've got a lot of these cool features. I think another one's the Angel Island prison. So the red punishments, it's a huge deal. So reds on every other server, either they run loose or they get nerfed in the ground like Outlands.
Right.
So in this server, if you're a bad boy, you go to prison. So when you die, you've got the option take stat loss or go to prison. When you're in prison, when the population will be good, you'll get in fights with rival guilds. So you'll be fighting with a prison shank and stabbing, another rival guild member in prison. If you can imagine that, you'll be stabbing them in there, and you have the option to break out. You know what I mean? You've got the option to farm and bribe some guards. I mean, I'll let you guys figure it out for yourself, and maybe there'll be a promotional video or two that'll come out. But there's some really cool features out there, and I look at the other servers around. I look at UA Renaissance, and they've got fake population farming silver. Talamon's Ben Stein, no charisma there. Look at a server like UO Ages or UO Gauges.
Mm-hmm.
That server right there doesn't have much going on. Then you have UO Evermore, more like UO Nevermore.
I don't
So
think
I
that
think,
ever caught on, did it? Like, did
yeah,
anyone play
well,
it?
I'm kind of just going with it. But right now, I think right now Angel Island's the server to play, and I'm gonna. That's the server I'm playing. I'm bringing my guild to there, and I'd be more than happy to, stomp anyone that wants to come take the crown from me. So
No, man. Yeah, I think that's an incredible promo. I'm very interested to see how Angel Island does. I think the one thing I will say is I did see like new people that haven't played UO clearly in a very long time on Discord, which kind of gave me some hope that okay, my opinion is I think Angel Island is going to be there for a very long time, and there will be people playing. Will it be the 2000 we saw in Outlands? Probably not, but this is my other opinion. I feel like that golden era has passed us. I don't know if we're going to see 2,000 people anymore just based on what's happening in the world. Everyone's getting back. Like I feel like that was a golden era that has passed, is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm very interested to see how all these, free servers kind of pan out because, to your point, I think, Joe, you know this, that there's only a finite number of UO players. So it's like you start splitting them so much, and it's just you're splitting hairs that it doesn't make any sense. But I think Angel Island is an exception in the fact that there is, like you said, a decent enough population that will keep it, running for a long time.
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
But all right, man, we're gonna wrap this up. Is there any other parting words or anything that you need to get off your chest before we wrap up here?
I just want to clarify that I left Outlands on top after I beat all the competition, and I did quit because I was tired of UO, and I was relieved of duty due to inactivity, and I'm okay with that. But I just want to clarify that I beat every other guild on Outlands while I played, and left my guild LOD, which has been renamed Face Guild, um, hyphen underscore hyphen,
Oh, they're
and
face now. I didn't know that.
they're still the number one guild. So I built a guild, and at its peak had over 450 members,
Wow.
and was dominating. I built the foundation so strong that to this day they are still leaps and bounds ahead of every other guild on the world's biggest server. Just so kind of just put that in perspective. And still, I'm the only player with the player statue. So
Now, okay, and let me ask this too for everyone listening to clear the air. Are you banned today on Outlands?
I don't think I am. Owen, when he found out that Angel Island was releasing another rendition of it,
Yeah.
he actually had another player reach out to me and wanted to discuss terms to come back. And I hit him up, and he basically said, "You're unbanned, but just don't make the same mistakes." And I guess the only mistake, and that kind of was salt and open win for me because, um, here's what I do. I speak my mind, and for him to say you can come back, but just lay low or be quiet. Um, when I was wrongfully banned for opening my mouth, that's kind of I was like, well, go fuck yourself. So I actually did come back. I think I am unbanned. I don't know. There were rumors that I was spamming the Outland server into oblivion, which I can neither confirm nor deny. So maybe I'm banned again. Who cares, dude? Either way, I'm on Angel Island now.
Got it. No, I'm just curious. I like to clear that up. But hey, thank you very much for hanging out with me, man. I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I had a ball, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.